Hello my friends, it's Pat, and today in this video I wanted to talk a little bit more about some of the messages and themes that came up in this week's reading, because there was a couple of messages that had to do with, dreaming big and, what do you desire right now? Visualize it and it will come about. And even today, when I was kind of connecting with Spirit and asking what a good message would be to help you with, because I've been wanting to do some more of these videos to reach out to you some more, kind of like a video blog, if you will. And so the card that came out was Ariel with this message of spread your wings. And I know with part of the earlier message that we also got this Divine Magic card in there. And with the solar eclipse, there's a new moon solar eclipse that's coming up on Thursday. It feels like there's really an expanded energy or expanded like gateway or opportunity to really manifest, some new opportunities in your life. It's a time to capitalize on this energy of bringing in the new, okay, or starting new things. So I want to talk a little bit about that because, I find that, the angels will give us a lot of hints and messages around things. They'll let us know when it's time to pause, and your own intuition will do this as well, but they kind of let us know when there's gateways, and when it's a good time to make changes, when it's a good time to manifest and work with the energies. And also when it's time to pause and not overdo and maybe wait for a better opportunity. So this is one of those weeks where there's a real gateway of opportunity. Now, new moons are good times to start new ventures anyways. But I think the messages to me feel like there's an additional energy, an expanded energy really, to just dream big and really maybe take this time to think through changes that you'd like to have in your life. Now, making changes can, or even dreaming about, something that you'd ideally like to be, do, or have in your life, can also bring up, it can bring up fears. It can bring up feelings of intimidation. Like, how could I possibly do that? I don't know how I could bring that about. But there's a part of you that loves the idea, maybe is even romanticizing it a little bit, or you feel very connected to it as to something that you want to accomplish or achieve or go for, because maybe it's going to bring you happiness, or a lot of being drawn to something different or something new has to do with your sense of identity, who you see yourself being. And that can also be something that gets in the way of you being able to accomplish it, because you can't see yourself as being that person yet. And that takes a little bit of working with, okay? So, but now's the time to kind of look at and explore. This week is a big part of the dreaming part of it. Where you're imagining in your mind, using your powers of visualization to really, think about and visualize and feel what you'd like to have in your life. Now, I work a lot with women we're middle-aged. We're in our 50s. We're going through some changes. We're going through the physical change of menopause. We're also going through changes where maybe our children are grown, they've gone off to college, or maybe they've finished college. We're looking at the empty nest thing, and we have opportunities. It's kind of sad on one piece because you're letting, your children have grown. It's like, oh, but at the same time, you're happy for them, and it means that there's new opportunities for you, or for you and your spouse. You're going to have more free time on your hands. What do I do with my life now that I've moved away from, taking care of children so much, where so much of my time and energy and focus was about that? Okay. And you're maybe even looking down the road as to what you'd like your retirement years to be like. You know, what did I want to be when I grow up? Or if you're like me, sometimes I'm like there's some of us who are just late starters. And we've done a lot of other things in this first half of our life, but we're looking to do something else for the second. So one of the things that I wanted to do for you today in this video that I'm sharing is to give you some tips, ways of working with this energy and this spiritual gateway that's about, you know, dreaming big and visualizing. And like the card said, you know, what do you desire right now? So the first tip is really to, well, one, if you are outside, as the card reading had suggested, and you find yourself, you know, daydreaming, you know, stop and take notice of what you're daydreaming about. You know, look at where your mind's wandering to. You know, if it's, you know, wherever it takes you, something that feels, it's evidently, or maybe something that feels right to you. Maybe it's a relationship, you know, maybe it's a dream of moving to some place or buying a house, and oh yeah, wouldn't that be great? And notice where your mind is wandering to. And I would even actually, another part of this big tip is take some time out or carve out some time to yourself and think about, you know, if time and money and maybe financial obligations or any other kind of obligations, if those weren't an issue for you, you know, what would you be doing? What would you want to do? Where do you see yourself being? What do you see yourself being? What do you see yourself becoming and doing? There was a coach that I used to follow for a while. Actually, he's an author, really. And he, Mark Allen is his name. And he's still around and about, I think. Maybe not doing as much as what he did at one point in time. But he wrote a book called The Millionaire Course. And one of the exercises that he had outlined in that book was to create your ideal scene and imagine that 5 years have passed and everything has gone as ideally as possible. What does your life look like? And I emphasize the word everything's gone as ideally as possible. So if you can take some time out to imagine that, okay, you'd be surprised at what comes up for you. But it's a great thing to do when you have like this sort of dream big with a divine magic spiritual gateway that's open like it is now, and that new moon coming along, okay? The second tip I want to share with you is, you know, as you allow yourself to daydream about these things, or you find yourself daydreaming, you know, it's not out of the ordinary that fears come up, or the small thoughts of like, you can't see how it could possibly happen. So one of the big tips of manifesting is, if you know, people say if you dream it, you can get there. If you can visualize it, you can get there. But you have to let go of the how, okay? When you work, you know, as many of you know, I'm a spiritually based life coach. I do readings, I connect with the angelic realm, and I work with them a lot because, especially when I'm trying to manifest something, because their resources are unlimited. And if you can follow your guidance and ask for their help and intervention, they can lead you and help you make the connections that can lead to what it is that you're dreaming about, having or becoming. So let go of the how, because sometimes things can come about in ways that you could not possibly have logically thought of. You know, our minds work very logically and we think, oh, I'd have to do this or that or the other thing. But sometimes things can come about in ways that we couldn't possibly have thought about or even planned for. So that's why they say let go of the how. And also this whole idea of let go of small thoughts about yourself. You know, a lot of getting to where we want to get to, or getting to that dream of who we see ourselves being and where we want to go, what we see ourselves doing, has to do with our idea or identity of who we are. And I'll share with you a little example of that from many years ago. when I was a young mother. I had been a massage therapist at that time, but I was always very interested in holistic practices and personal growth, self-help. And, you know, I would see things would come in the mail, advertisements for these really cool seminars and things like that. But, you know, I would get excited about that, the possibility of it. But at that time, I hadn't been introduced to this idea of manifesting or, you know, visualizing my ideal scene, and I really just thought of myself as, in a very small way, as this stay-at-home mom. I wasn't working, and even though I valued being able to be that and take care of my kids, and I loved my kids, I had this small idea that, you know, how am I going to do that? You know, I didn't have my own income, and the income that we had was going to pay for our household and, you know, all of our needs. So how could I possibly afford something like that? You know, how would I get away from, you know, taking care of the kids? Who would look out after them for me? Because I didn't have a lot of family around. And so anyways, I would just take those things that came in the mail and I would just throw them in the recycle bucket with just this, you know, kind of depressed feeling, because I had this small idea of myself that I was an at-home mom and I really didn't have the time or the money, you know, or the freedom to do that. Thankfully, I cured myself of that because someone introduced me to the work of Louise Hay and changing your thoughts and how that can change your life. But that's what, you know, we sometimes have these ideas. It's very connected to who we think of ourselves as being, that can get in the way. And we have these small thoughts about ourselves, and they can get in the way of the idea that we could, you know, get to our ideal of what we see ourselves being and doing, you know. So let go of that's what it means to let go of those small thoughts about yourself. You know, who am I to do this? I'm just a blah, 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 you know. And as much as you can, put those aside. Really take advantage of this spiritual gateway. You know, sometimes we can, you know, the universe is trying to help us dream a bigger dream for ourselves. Dream a bigger dream for us than what we can do for ourselves is what I'm trying to say. And I guess, you know, the third tip that I would have, so let go of small thoughts of yourself. Be open to the possibility. You know, at that same time, like I said, when I was a young mom and I had those small thoughts about myself, I got introduced to the work of Louise Hay. It was about changing your thoughts. And I got introduced to the work of Doreen Virtue, who was my main mentor and teacher. And I became open to I was introduced to the idea to be open to the possibility that it could happen. And so I started more actively visualizing, and I got myself to one of those trainings that I had been dreaming about going to and excited about going to. I found a way to make it happen. So, but it took letting go of those small thoughts and being open to the possibility. So, anyways, I just wanted to share some of these with you today. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, certainly I welcome you to leave comments below if you are like, yeah, I totally get that, and thank you for reminding me of this, what have you. I also want to invite you, if you'd like to explore some changes that you'd like to make in your life and you'd like some help with that, I do offer a free session, and I call it a heart-centered breakthrough session because it is meant to be heart-centered, and I love helping people with things like that. So I will put the link to that if you are interested in that. It's complimentary, and there's no, you know, obligation or salesy thing. It's let's just connect and see where you want to go with the changes, or, you know, a big dream that you want to have for yourself in your life. Okay. Oh, I know. Another thing, a tip I had meant to share was about fear. The fear of, you know, stepping into, it can bring up fear about a big change because a lot of people are afraid of making changes. But anyways, I think I mentioned that a little bit. It just came back to me for a second there. So anyways, if you are interested in that and booking a free session with me, it's about an hour. And just click on the link below. It'll take you to a page where you can, you know, just put in your name and email, and we'll set up a time. Okay? So take care, everyone, and I will be speaking with you soon with more of these videos. Have a great day.